gentlemen, I am Paul Danino Braun, and this is another damn review show because fuck you, you'll watch it. And today, we're gonna talk about Dark Phoenix. That's right, not XMen : The Dark Phoenix, just Dark Phoenix. You know that thing that they did with Solo and Rogue One, where they put the colon in a Star Wars story? This is like the opposite. I don't know if they were really confident or they just didn't want to make an X-Men. I don't know. Let's get to the movie.
Why did you make me do that?
Look at me. Focus on my voice. I'm not giving up on you, Jean.
She was my friend.
You're my family, Jean. Stop. No matter what.
Stop.
Jean Grey begins to develop incredible powers that corrupt and turn her into a Dark Phoenix. Now the X-Men will have to decide if the life of a team member is worth more than all the people living in the world. That plot summary, that is just bullshit, because that is fucking not what this movie's about at all. So X-Men Dark Phoenix, is it any good? No! It's not good. I'm gonna be honest, guys. It's not good. I'm not surprised, but I am still disappointed. It's kind of like that meme from Malcolm in the Middle. I think it's Malcolm in the Middle, where the kid's like, I expected nothing and was still disappointed. X-Men is just in a weird place right now. There's some really good and some really bad. I really like the Deadpool movies. I like that they're kind of like X-Men light, whatever, doing their own thing. And I'm glad that those are seemingly going to survive the clean slate that is going to happen now that Disney officially owns them. Because we know they're going to snap this shit out of existence. Legion is a really cool thing too, but once again, it's like an insulated, separate thing. As a whole, the X-Men timeline is such a fucking mess. It is such a mess. It is such a mess, in fact, that after I went to the screening with my buddy Dave from On the Rocks Media Podcast, Bad Movies, and after we left, a day went by, he texted me, he's like, wait a minute. Jean Grey is alive in, the continuity of X-Men. Days of Future Past happened, they traveled back in time, changed things, and then it goes back to present day with all of the older X-Men, with Femke Jensen and all that, and she's there and alive. And according to the structure of the plot, that is the future in which Jennifer Lawrence and James McAvoy, all them exist, and whatever changes they made in Days of Future Past in the past eventually carry forward to that moment. So you go into this movie already knowing that there's really no consequences. You know that basically everyone important survives because we saw them already. It's one of the various problems with this movie, honestly. Good parts. Let's talk about good parts. Okay. The casting overall is pretty good. I mean, listen, Fassbender, McAvoy, we know they're going to knock it out of the park. They're not given that much. Really, Magneto's not given much to do. I always appreciated Nicholas Hoult. God, as time goes on, I just have less and less nice things to say about this movie. I enjoy the opening. I dig how it's kind of we're doing this mission, and we're in a world now where the X-Men are a known quantity, and people like them, and they have merch. They got merchandise. You can buy action figures and stuff, and that's cool. I kind of like to see a script finally flipped where it's they kind of broke through. Now mutants, they're not feared. People like them. That's all cool. You get Charles Xavier doing press events basically now. And he's shaking he's got a phone. He's got an X phone that the president dials. That's awesome. So they do this mission, and they rescue all these people, and it's pretty funny. They have this eye cannon thing. They're literally in a spacecraft, and they're like, "Yo, Cyclops, you need to shoot the thing." And I'm like, "Wait, they're in a spaceship. Is he just gonna stick his head out of the window? There's no oxygen there." But no, it's way sillier. There's an eye cannon thing that they have built. It's absurd. I remember just looking over at Dave and he just started laughing. It was great. But they do this mission and it's all in the trailer. You saw what happened. She gets possessed by radiation. Listen, and this is the third time they're doing this whole Dark Phoenix thing. Let's be honest. They did it with X-Men The Last Stand. They basically did it at the end of Apocalypse. And now they're doing it again. And it's very frustrating that we're doing more or less the same story 3 times. I don't know why they have this fixation on doing this. And I know that this version might have more elements that are comic book accurate, but I don't care because it doesn't translate to a good movie. So in X-Men, we've established now, this is the 10th film, I want to say, in main continuity, give or take, 10 films deep. And aliens. They just throw aliens at you. Oh, you didn't know? Aliens exist in X-Men. It took us 10 movies to find out, but that's just thrown in with no setup. And we're just supposed to go along for that ride. No one really reacts to the fact that aliens exist. And like I would say spoilers, but it's really not. This happens in the first 15 minutes of the movie. And I can't for the life of me understand why aliens are in this film. Functionally, they're just an antagonist, and they're indistinguishable from mutants in the sense that they're anthropomorphic beings that have specific powers. Like, they could have just been mutants and it wouldn't have devastated the logic of this universe. But no, it's aliens. Speaking of aliens, we should address the issue with the third act. So the entire third act of this film was just like redone. That's why the movie also got pushed back to like a year. The reason that this happened, according to much speculation, has to do a little something with a film called Captain Marvel, in which a heroine with beam-type power things flies around in space and shoots down aliens. Apparently that's what the entire climax of this film was supposed to be. It's not anymore, you know, after a year of edits and reshoots, but it's also not good. The second half of this movie's a mess, like an absolute mess. This movie's like 2 hours long, like 2 hours and 2 minutes, and Dave and I couldn't believe how quickly paced it was. It just went boom, 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 one thing after another. And it's crazy. And at this point, I'm just going to say spoilers. I know this is a rambly review, but like the more I talk, the more I think, the more I get mad about this movie. So, final thoughts before I get into spoilers. This is a disservice to the franchise. It is not a good ending. It is marginally better, or not even better. I found it a little more entertaining than Apocalypse. I like the final act is much more contained and it's a smaller scale, and that was more interesting to me than the CGI slugfest that was Apocalypse. But we're officially going to get into spoilers. So here's some major problems. Going into this movie, Jennifer Lawrence doesn't care. She hasn't cared probably for about 2 movies, and it's really obvious. It's obvious that she was looking for the door. Even her makeup just looks lazy in this movie. And I was calling it with Dave, in the first 20 minutes she'd be dead. It was a little bit longer than that. It was like 35 minutes, but sure enough, Jean kills her. It's so obvious from the trailer that happens, but they finally get Jennifer Lawrence out, and she's just miserable in this movie. And it's hard because fulcrum of this movie is like her death. It's like the inciting incident for so much stuff, but we don't care because we don't like her at all. There's this one line, I'm gonna quick cut to it.
It's funny. I can't actually remember the last time you were the one risking something. And by the way, the women are always saving the men around here. You might want to think about changing the name to X-Women.
Here's why that line is obnoxious and pandering, and I hate it, and I hate it so much. Number 1, her delivery is just terrible. Number 2, I hate this plot thread that they try to do in the beginning where they're trying to make Professor X like, not a bad guy, but they're trying to make him like, oh, he's this fame-hungry, like, douchey guy, and like, yeah, listen, I like the idea of him making mistakes. Like, those are things I want to see. This just felt completely unearned, and it wasn't executed well at all. And here's the main problem, with that line is Mystique. We don't see that. The opening scene, we have Nightcrawler going in and out of the spaceship to rescue the guys. Jean helps keep the ship together. We have Storm helping, like, stop leaks with her ice power. Cyclops, like, literally every single one of the X-Men does something as a team to do this mission successfully, except for Mystique. She doesn't do anything in that mission. So when she walks in there and says, oh, you know, the women are saving the men a lot more, you should change the name of the team to XWomen, that's bullshit. That's just not accurate at all. That is some show don't tell stuff, and we don't like that. That is not how you make a movie, Mr. Kimberg. You don't get off scot-free because you're not a pedophile like the last guy. Get it together, bro. I know it's your first movie, but get it together.
It's funny. I can't actually remember the last time you were the one risking something. I can't actually remember the last time you were the one risking something. I can't actually remember the last time you were the one risking something. I can't actually remember the last time you were the one risking something.
So you have this female character who serves no function but to show up on screen, give some expository dialogue, and then die so the men can have like a plot to do. And like they're pushing this movie as, oh wow, it's the first X-Men movie that has a female lead.
So what distinguishes Dark Phoenix against the rest of the X-Men films?
Well, it's the first time we've had a female protagonist. Well, center stage, female lead.
No, literally all of the most important things in this movie, like all the main decisions are made by the men, and it's like really unfortunate because it's just, you're not getting that like good feminist story. It's just not there at all. You have Sophie Turner returning as Jean Grey, which frankly I didn't think that she was good as Jean Grey in the last movie. I know she's a good actress. I watched Game of Thrones, Queen of the North, you're awesome, but she's got like two modes in this movie. She's like bewildered and sad and crying, or like just angry and like a petulant child. Like it's just not good. And one of the reasons that this movie absolutely falls apart in the second half is they puss out on the whole Dark Phoenix thing. Literally, like there's a huge battle sequence that happens in New York. It's about at the midpoint, maybe 2/3 mark. And they just throw up their hands and go, all right, the bad guy's gonna take powers and Jean Grey's good. Like they don't commit to having Jean Grey be a bad guy. They don't commit to her going full Dark Phoenix. They just don't. And that's a problem because now X-Men The Last Stand is a more interesting version of this movie, and X-Men The Last Stand should never be a more interesting version of anything. Ever. This is a bad movie.
Hello, old friend.
Stay out of my way.
I'm sorry for what she did, but I can't let you go in there.
You're always sorry, Charles, and there's always a speech. But nobody cares anymore.
And there's just so many things that are so lazy and dumb. Like like Quicksilver gets taken out of the entire plot like almost immediately. Literally, like they first go to confront Jean and he gets hurt and then that's it and he's gone. So it's like if you came to this movie because you wanted to see Mystique or Quicksilver, they're just functionally not in the movie at all. And that's a problem. You know, it sucks because there's some kernels of things I like. I like Cyclops. I like Ty Sheridan's Cyclops. That was good casting. Why don't they ever give him anything to do? And not just Ty Sheridan. They didn't do it for freaking James Marsden either. Just let Cyclops do something other than be pouty and die off screen sometimes. It was a rough screening. People were laughing at things they weren't supposed to laugh at. It upsets me so much to know that like this is the way that this franchise is going out. At least they didn't have like the nerve to put some kind of post-credits end something, and they just kind of left it as it is, even if they have the Phoenix thing pop up again at the end. It's just a bummer because First Class was so good. So good. And Days of Future Past was also awesome. And just the last two movies, man, just a friggin' nosedive. As far as I'm concerned, I look at Logan as the end of the X-Men franchise. I think that is a proper send-off, even though it only has two of the main characters. that is a more honorable way to end something that really started the Silver Age of comic book movies. Also, New Mutants is just never coming out. I'm calling it. That movie's not happening. So that's it. Those are my long, meandering thoughts about Dark Phoenix. I was going to say X-Men Dark Phoenix, but that's not it. Just Dark Phoenix. I don't know. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. And you know what? Honestly, like, don't see it, because you're just going to feel bad. You won't feel that bad leaving, because, like, the final fight in the train is cool, but, like, the more time goes on, just the more you get upset and angry, and that's it. So, I am Paul Deniro Braun. This has been yet another episode of Another Damn Review Show, because fuck you, you'll watch it. Have a good one, peoples.